Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we will present about Hidayah in Al-Quran and Sunnah. My name is NURUL SYAZWANI BINTI ZAMRI 1172726. Okay, next. Saying the word Hidayah may be common in the word of every Muslim. Hidayah also associated with other requests in prayer. Hidayah that we often hear and say is a word in Malay language which means clue, instruction, or something that is really needed in various aspects of life. Everyone lists or wants something without a clue, then to arrive at the goal just might encounter many obstacles. With the hint of something very orderly and directed, a person will not get confused and get lost on his way to achieve something. Not all humans who live in this world get Hidayah, his life, both religious guidelines as well as the indication of truth. However, there are also many humans who have actually received a Hidayah, but often he is considered negligent in carrying out. Human as creation, God's creation, has a soul as a tool used to seek Hidayah Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. The soul is initially in a similar state of receiving two ways, good and bad. But Allah gives something very important in the form of mind to think about and consider the two parts. In this assignment, would explain what is Hidayah and also explain the word Hidayah that mentioned in Al-Quran. Okay, next slide. The word Hidayah, according Kamus Dewan, Hidayah from 4th edition means guardian from God, come from Arabic or the language of the Al-Quran, which has been become Malay language. Hadiah, Hada, Hadayah, Yahadi, Hada, Hidayah. Okay, which mean to give instruction or show. For the word Hudan, Huda means clue is the antonym. Opposite of the word is Dolal, means heresy. Apart mean guidance, Hidayah also mean guidance, information and truth. Therefore, this word is often synonym with the word dalalah, clue and irsyad. Okay, Allah grant guidance to whoever He wills to believe and obey His command from Allah. Faman yuridillahu an yahdiyahu tisrah sarduhu lil Islam. So whoever Allah will to guide him, he will open his chest, open his heart to accept Islam. Surah Al-An'am ayat 125. Next. According to Islamic doctrine, instruction has been provided mainly in the form of the Quran by Allah to human through Muhammad and how he lived his life, which is known as the Sunnah in the Prophet. Not only through the Quran, but Hidayah or instruction is also given. Muslims aim to achieve a better lifestyle by means of his teaching and instruction in the Quran. Many reasons why human beings need guidance from Allah. For example, mind and reflection. Reason is a blessing from God to man, by which is distinguished it from many of his creation. So with the mind, man knows things, discover their properties, benefit and disadvantage, understand the sincerity of the call of the messenger, may blessing and peace be upon them, and realize the existence of God and His oneness and ability in His creation. Okay, next, another example, we could conclude the necessity of Hidayah is because the role of the mind in guidance. The mind has a prominent role in teaching guidance, and this is shown through enabling one to perceive the reality of this universe, and that it has masterminded creator, fully convinced of what this great religion brought. Okay. Next, the messenger reason and common sense with their status and ability, but they are not suitable Hidayah for guidance due to their shortcoming and their inability to comprehend many facts, especially to unseen one. It was from Allah's justice, mercy and love for the guidance of His creation that He sent to the Prophet and Messenger, clothe them from the best of creation and provide them with qualities and qualify them to be a good example for people. Explain to them satisfactory answer to what is going on their minds, and they know people about their duty toward their creator. And lastly, the role the role of instinct in guidance. The instinct has an important role in guidance, which is represented in the following: the endowment of faith to He and desire for it, such as inclining the roots of tree by inertia toward water, to food, and searching for them. We feel Him stable in approaching His Creator. Thank you. That's all for me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SYAFAWANI binti Rosli. My matric number is 1172721. Okay, now I will continue to the available view on issue of Hidayah. Okay, some question arise regarding guidance, such as whether this guidance comes by itself or can a person reject guidance. Okay, according to Ibnu Rajab Al-Hambali, he divided the guidance into two parts. The first, the guidance which is mujmal. This guidance is to Islam and faith, which is given by Allah to every Muslim. The second guidance is the specific and detailed guidance, which is guidance to know the details of the branches of faith and Islam, as well as his help to practice at all. This guidance is very much needed by every believer, day and night. Through the explanation, it can be seen that the existing guidance can be like the guidance of the mujmal, and there is guidance that must be tried to get through prayers and good deeds, because Allah have stated in the Surah Al-Fussilat verses 17, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim, wa amma thamudu fahadainahum fastahabbul 'ama 'alal huda فَأَخَذَتْهُمْ صَاعِقَةُ الْعَذَابِ هُونِ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. As for Thamud, we show that guidance, but they preferred blindness over guidance. So the blast of a disgracing punishment overtook them for what they have committed. So from this ayat, Allah has provided on way to guide the Thamud by send the Prophet ﷺ to them, but instead they prefer misguidance over receiving guidance until they are tormented and end up in the hell of fire. So it can be said that the acceptance of such guidance depends on the individual of the individual himself. Allah have provide various way to convey guidance to mankind, but Allah has never forced them to believe in Him. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is HUSNATUL BINTI JANATUL HABIB. My matric number is 1172163. So insyaAllah, I will continue about the argument of every view, including Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. So Allah clarified that is in exchange for advice, the hypocrites gain misguidance. So they lost the world with their long trade, and with their lack of guidance, they lost their next life. And that is the simple loss. As Allah said in Al-Quran, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim, Mathaluhum kamathalil ladzi istawqada nara falamma adaa'at ma hawlah zahaballahu binurihim wa tarakahum fi zulumatihim la yubsirun. Their example is that of one who kindled a fire, but when illuminated what was around him, Allah took away their light and left them in darkness, so they could not see. When the hypocrites purchase deviation in order for instruction, they develop absolute blindness. So their example is that of a person who, when the fire was initiated, started a fire and illuminated the entire area. So they gained from it and felt protected. Next slide, please. So tafsir in Surah Al-Baqarah verses 16 to 18. A'udzubillahi minasyaitanir rajim. Ulaika alladhina ishtaraw ad-dalalata bil huda fama rajibat tijarahum wama kanu muhtadin. Those are the ones who have purchased error, which is in exchange for guidance, so their commerce has brought no profit, nor were they guided. Next, ulaika alladhina ishtaraw ad-dalalata bil huda. So these verses means include those who first believe, then later disbelieve, which is whom Allah described their hypocrites. So these parables indicate that the hypocrites first believe, then disbelieve, just as Allah stated in other parts of the Quran. A'udzubillahi minasyaitanir rajim. Summu bukmu umyun fahum la yurji'un. Deaf, dumb and blind, so they will not return, which is to the right path. So of the hypocrites, extra qualities are that they are mute, stupid and blind. They are ignorant of the proper path. The hypocrite closer to Allah are mute, ignorant and dumb because they do not have iman and they do not pay heed to the correct way, that is dinul haq, which is a true of religion. So they do not want to listen. They do not want to support if they listen to it. They are not able to see the fact, and the only thing apparent to them is the challenge of the Islamic way. But the lasting advantage of these difficulties cannot be seen, so they will not, as they do not wish, which is to return to advice. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SYAMIELIA binti Muhammad DONIA. My metric number 1172731. I will continue presentation with analyze the arguments of every view based on filter of knowledge. Okay, first, all the arguments that have been mentioned by HUSNATUL just now, were relevant according to Kalsum Farhat in her article titled Al-Baqarah, the ultimate divine guidance for mankind, said that Allah is mocking the hypocrites by giving them time to increase in their deviations and wander blindly. It is the punishment not only for the hypocrites of Medina at the Prophet's time, but also for all who are trying to deceive Allah with their evil deeds. It is the misguidance and disbelief that encompasses them, causing them to be confused and unable to find a way out of it. This is because Allah has stamped and sealed their hearts and blind their vision. Therefore, they do not recognize guidance or find the way out of their deviations. Furthermore, deaf, dumb and blind, so they will not return, it means to the right path. The hypocrites are deaf, cannot hear the guidance or do not want to listen, or they do not accept it. Dumb, cannot utter the words that might benefit them, and blind, it means in total darkness and deviations, can't see the truth, can only see the difficulties in the way of Islam, but they cannot observe the permanent benefits out of these difficulties. Since they do not have faith, so they do not give attention toward the right path. Okay, next slide. Okay, unfortunately, this all can never be done without our help and guidance, as person can do nothing on our own as far as the divine guidance is concerned. It has been revealed to the Prophet from time to time and perfected in the form of our revelations, that means Quran, which is the perfect code of life for all the humanity. The life of our Prophet Muhammad SAW was the embodiment of the Quran, providing a secure standard for mankind. Okay, by inculcating this guidance, we have to let the realm of Quran be immersed. If we set our world for all practical purpose in accordance to the Quranic world, whose principles are self-evident, forceful, and in accordance with the belief system of our Prophet who developed individual and societies, that become successful in both the world. All the human ills can be set right and we will successfully cope with the challenges of the modern time. May Allah bestow upon us this light as we are drawing in darkness. Our lost heart indeed would be find comfort in Quran while seeking its guidance and acting upon it wholeheartedly. A wiser among us will go to Allah before death. In this life, we may get great advice from people around us, but the perfect guidance will always come from Him. Okay, I will continue with the reconciliation between the view of Hidayah or guidance. Okay, guidance is one of the major messages of the glorious Quran. It is revealed to serve as a source of guidance not only to Muslims, but also to the entire mankind, to transport them from darkness of ignorance to light of Islam, to evacuate them from the narrow confinement to the vastness of the Islamic order, and above all, pave the way to eternal bliss in the hereafter, the divine purpose which one should not doubt. That it directs mankind to the right path. Okay, moreover, seeking guidance from the Quran, which is the effects of intentions. The state and purity of the heart of a person greatly determine how fast and how much they will receive guidance from the Quran once they start to read, study, and ponder upon it. It is the intentions inside their heart with which they approach the Quran, which become the crucial determining factor of whether this glorious book becomes a source of divine guidance for them, or embodies merely a written piece of text that they read to glean information about Islam, Prophet Muhammad SAW, and poignant even in Islam history. In Quran itself, Allah has described how the Quran guides only those whose hearts are humble, submissive, and receptive to being guided. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NURLIYANA binti BAHARUDIN. My matric number 1172724. So I will continue about the view that nearer to Al-Quran and Al-Sunnah. So Allah said in Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 256, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim, yu'til hikmatum man yasha' wa man yu'tal hikmata faqad utiya khairan katsiran wa ma yadhakkaru illa ulul albab. The meaning is Allah grants wisdom to whoever He wills, and whoever is granted wisdom is certainly blessed with a great privilege. But none will be mindful of this except people of reason. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala praises the believers in the verse because they have received guidance, then invested work in the way of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala by giving alms of quality goods and the loved one goods, not in the least influenced by the whispers of the devils who is afraid of poverty or misery. Next slide. Okay, they act based on the knowledge and wisdom of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala give to them. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala give useful knowledge that can improve the will of the people He wants to, so that it can distinguish between right and wrong. So then they can distinguish between the inspiration that comes from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and the whispers of the devil. Whoever is given such knowledge will surely be able to distinguish between the promise of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and the promise of Satan, even able to hold fast to the promise of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and throw away the promise of Satan. And beside that, and this is what we need most, just because we are believers, it does not mean that we don't need guidance. We need guidance in every moment of our lives. So Allah just says, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim, Innal ladzina amanu wa 'amilus solihati yahdihim rabbuhum biimanihim tajri min tahtihim anharu fi jannatin na'im. So the meaning is, those who believe and work righteousness, their Lord will guide them because of their faith. Beneath them will flow rivers in gardens of peace. So Allah will guide them because of their iman. We cannot live without the guidance and tawfiq, which is the ability to do good of Allah. Allah also said in Al-Quran, the most frequent dua that one makes is in Surah Al-Fatihah, verse 5. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Meaning is Allah guide us to the straight path. Next slide. So I will continue about last is conclusion. In conclusion, if guidance is merely knowing the right or wrong path, then we only need to get it on. But to make a decision, we have to ask for it many times. It is because even though we have known the right and wrong path, sometimes we will make the wrong decision based on our own balance sheet. Besides that, Allah also said in Quran that those who believe and work righteousness, their Lord will guide them because of their faith. So therefore, every person who leads to the guidance of Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala must be confident the mashiach Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala bestows guidance and wisdom on him and will bestow on him many good deeds. So that's all from us. Thank you.